Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Astroneer with your friend Kuros Paladin. It has been a long, long time indeed. Uh, the last video I think I put up was the Soren video when I visited Epcot back in January, where they updated Soren at the end to remove the Fountain of Nations and put in Dreamer's Point. Uh, I don't know how I feel about that. Dreamer's Point is nice, but the Fountain of Nations, having been a child of original Epcot, 1982-83, the Fountain of Nations will always be a thing for me, but that's a different story. Uh, so here we are, and I wanted to let everybody know that I have still been playing Astroneer, a lot of it. And I wanted to show what I've been doing in what I now consider my main save. So I have 8 saves, and save one is the save or game, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me, I have a mild hiccup case. Save one is from launch 1.0, so that was way back, right? 2016 was that? No, 2019. I'm sorry. So that save is 6 years old. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are varying degrees. Some I got very far into, some I haven't really done much because I just wasn't happy with what I was doing in that particular save. Then I had 2 more saves that are lost, forever lost. We'll call them 7.2 and 7.3. These were saves that I had gotten very far into, but my power supply was flaky and my computer would just reboot at random, and it did that during a save, corrupted the save, couldn't get to it, started another one, got really far into it, really proud of it, same thing. PC rebooted right in the middle of a save, corrupted the save, could never get back to it. So this is save 8, although technically I guess it would be 10. But anyhow, this save is now almost 47 megabyte. That doesn't really mean a lot, except for the largest contributor to save file size is deforming the terrain. And I've done quite a bit of terrain deforming in this save. So without further ado, I'd like to just go ahead and get started and show what I've been doing in this particular save, because I plan to start streaming, or not streaming, putting up regular YouTube videos of Astroneer again, but not in this save. I'm going to start from the beginning. So, in this save, I still plan to play this one because I'm really proud of it. So let's go ahead. Let's just get started. This is the original base on Silva. This save was started right at the beginning of where you could customize your games. And there is a little bit of a customization in this particular save. I reduced the number of mountains. I increased the number of resources on Silva. I didn't realize I set it to like 1.2, and I can't believe you'll see what it did when I just set it to 1.2. I don't want to know what would happen if I had set it to 2. It would have been insane. But anyhow, spoilers. If you have not finished all the content for Astroneer, you may see some spoilers here. You have been warned. So, here we are, and I like to keep around the original base, the habitat, shelter, whatever you want to call it. I like to keep it nice and clear. Long ago, when I first started, yeah, of course, I had a bunch of stuff around the base. Platforms and production and all that other stuff. That has all moved away. Because I kind of think like this little guy, he wants to, when he sleeps, he wants somewhere quiet. So that's how I look at it. He wants somewhere nice. So right around here, I just did a little bit of landscaping. I'm not very creative when it comes to landscaping, but these fractal roses, I was after specifically this one, and I got a couple of them. You can see there's four of them there. One, two, three, and four. Um, and there's one from each planet here. So there's also one of every plant that is available in the game. So you'll see there's the stretch petals, the plume firs, the hispines. There's some uh, uh, spew flowers. I like how they don't give you the name. It's just harmless flora. But anyhow, um, so everything is here in the way of plants. Over here, we just have a little swimming hole, a little pond, basically, with some more of the local flora, as well as snail shells. Gotta have snail shells around. So there they all are there. You got the honey pots, more spew flowers, the prickle pot, I think, or prickle, I can't remember what that one is. Your cataplants, popcorn. See, like that one gets a name, which is kind of funny. And the bounce vine, the hazards get a name, but the other ones don't. But then the tuberole does get a name, so I don't know. I don't know. And I just realized I lied. Oh no, there it is, right there. There is an amaze plant in here. Okay, so it's hiding in here. And my little guy, he can float on water. He can float on water. But um, just an idea when it comes to the resources. Yeah, this is with 1.2. Look at the amount of resin. Just the amount of resin in there. So quite a bit by just setting it to 1.2. Over here is basically a collection. So I have all the pop tops from Exo Research, and then I actually have research aids that I dragged back here. One of each that you can find here on Silva. If there's more, I haven't found them yet. I tried packing a pop top, and when you unpack it, regardless of what resource it was, it always comes back as power. Maybe that's changed. I should try it again in the coming up. But I tried to bring back one of each, but they always turn into power when you unpack them. And then as many of the research items as I could find, I'm still missing quite a few. But there's a whole lot of research items. Some spoilers coming up, so sorry. But here are the data chips. So a whole bunch of data chips. Two of each. There's all the sets there, and then there's all the sets over here. The chess pieces, although I am missing one lapis bishop. I don't know what it is. I've got plenty of kings, queens, knights, and pawns. Dear gosh, do I have enough knights and pawns? I never thought I would say I have too many knights, but I have too many knights. And I just realized these are a little out of order, so I'm going to fix them. So I'm still looking for one lapis bishop, and eventually I'll get there. And then over here, just some more collectible items, some debris, and the exocache from the glitch event. So that's what's over there. But obviously, if you have a base, you kind of have to have production and such going on. Well, that's over here. So over here is the main production for Silva. It is also a storage. So, well, I say main production, I mean main storage, production, hybrid type thing. And if you remember way back, set the Wayback Machine, when Captain Clueless and Kadef and I played Astroneer together, we built, research is done. When we played, we built this, but I've improved on it. Now it's hooked up to a rail station, and I'm really proud of how I got the rail to be at grade, as it were. So I'm really proud of that. That took a lot of effort to do that. And Exo, System Era, if you are watching, if you are, give us the ability to lock rail posts and rail stations, please. Give us that ability because I can't tell you when I've accidentally picked up the rail station and then that erases this hours of work where I, got this so perfect, and then yeah, it's all wasted because it deforms the terrain and everything. But if you don't remember the sorting facility, basically everything just comes down and then filters into its appropriate storage. Most resources are represented, yeah, here, but not all. Some compounds are not, or sorry, composite are not represented here. Or I added extra ed in there. But the idea is really straightforward. There's storage sensors on here with a delay repeater. So if something shows up, this auto arm turns on, grabs it, puts it over here. I can show you on the bottom of this, if I can make it fall over. Come on, can I make it fall over? I want to make it fall over. No. There we go. So you can see there's a delay repeater and a storage sensor. And the delay repeater is set to 25 cycle delay. That means that the auto arm has a chance to drop off what it's holding when it plucks the last item off of there. That also makes them collapse back into this nice orderly pattern, so that satisfies my OCD. And then, of course, when a resource reaches a platform where its container is, the container just sucks it up. And then past these ones that I don't want smelted, there's a medium storage of 8. This keeps up. In fact, 5 at most will only ever be used. And then when something is done being refined, it comes back over here and will continue down the chain and go to become zinc, aluminum, titanium, copper, or whatever it is. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's with the hiccups, but anyhow. And then, the basics over here. I don't even use the smelter anymore because why? When you have the portable smelters, you don't need this anymore. It's just here for whatever. And then some storage. I don't know if I'll ever use these, but those are there. Gases that I have with, of course, the chemistry lab, an atmospheric condenser, the print platform so I can print everything I need to, my shredder, and of course the trade platform and request platform. So trade platform, and research, which you heard go off earlier, and a little bit of extra storage. Plenty of tethers and so on and so forth. In fact, I just realized I should move this guy to be with the rest of these over here. There we go. So that was here. When your Astroneer dies now, he doesn't leave a backpack anymore. That was just here. There was an unfortunate Astroneer's evidence of a very unfortunate Astroneer over there earlier. So one of the things that I'm really proud of in this particular save, I should get over to where there's oxygen. There we go. Is my rail network. I really love rails in this game. They have changed Astroneer for me, so I was so glad when they brought rails in. And you'll see over here, back here, there's a rail that comes in that has a end there, a terminus, and then of course this rail here. This rail here is my freight line, so only autonomous cars are on here, and everything's autonomous. I don't have to deal with anything. It's hooked up to, oh gosh, I want to say 7 or so auto extractors around the area. Resin, quartz, laterite, so on and so forth. They're all hooked up. This one over here, I snuck in later, is my passenger network. So this is the network I use for my Astroneer when he wants to get around. So they are completely segregated. there is no connection rail-wise between my passenger and freight networks. That way I don't interfere with the freight that's going on. So over here is they call it logistics depot. It's a train station, right? And we got coal, and then the stuff that I like to carry around, terrain analyzers, so I can repaint terrain as I needed to, and terrain manipulators, rail posts and junctions if I want to work on the network. I have far too much glass at the moment, so I'm just carrying around some extra glass. Over here, look at this, I have even more of these lapis figures, but still lapis rook. I haven't decided what I want to do. I may shred them, but not the pawns and knights. Pawns and knights don't deserve to be shredded, especially the knights, right? We have to look out for the pawns and the knights. And oh, I forgot two more things. Over here is my little like garage driveway, whatever you want to call it. Various vehicles, my VTOL, my gravity globe, my rover or buggy. And then I forgot way over here. Well, down there is where I was doing some initial plant stuff, but I'll show you what I did to replace it. This was just to have fun. I was trying to mimic like cannery going over rail, but I gave up on it. I learned long ago, put this far away from your base because you can't destroy it, you can't move it once it's put in place. Same with the logistics depot. That's why it was kind of distant from the main base. So same thing with this. And then over here is a rail yard where I store extra rail cars and rail engines. And then here's another indication just set to 1.2 for resources. I didn't think it would get this outrageous. Just the amount of resin that is present. This is the freight line. So this is all freight. Over here is one of the many extractors that are hooked up to the freight network. And this is where I get my resin. There are two resin auto extractors. They're automated. I don't overclock my extractors. I don't need that. I can wait. I can wait for it. Not a big deal. And this is all automated. I can speak. When this fills up, the medium storage, similar to the sort line, there's a delay repeater and a storage sensor on the bottom of the storage. When that's full, the auto arm picks it up, drops it off on the car. The car has a storage sensor that is set to full or empty. When it is completely full, it triggers, sends the car on its way. And then when it empties itself over at the station or the terminal, then it triggers it again and sends it back. So the station isn't doing anything but loading and unloading. It's not actually controlling the cars. I think the stations just aren't quite there yet when it comes to auto controlling vehicles. But how do I make certain all of this works? How do I make certain nothing interferes? Well, that's where the smart switches come in. And I'm not talking about network switches. I'm talking about switches here, or junctions, as the game likes to call these junctions. So I just have logic, and it's a basic AND gate on each direction. So there are two switches. Both have to be powered. When they're both powered, it provides power to this sensor, which is looking for only power gained. When power is gained, it triggers its pin, and this one would trigger this to set it straight, and then this one, if they were both on, would trigger it to make a turn this way to off to the screen, off to the right over here. So what does it do? It's really quite simple. At this rail post and this rail post here, anywhere you see a light on a rail post, that's because it's a a rail post that controls a junction. So when a car hits this, it sends a signal over here. What it will do is, if I can get a good view here, you'll see the two switches on its own line. Let's say like these two here, this one and this one are, if I can get to it, there we go. So this switch and this switch control this one. It will turn this switch on. So that's saying I'm requesting to go to proceed forward. This switch is a permission switch. So it tells the junction that yes or no, it is allowed or permitted to go that direction. So coming in, you'll see right here, it goes to the request switch. If I can get the tooltip out of the way, I guess I can't. It'd be nice to turn off tooltips if we could, but anyhow. You'll see, so it toggles the request switch and it will toggle the permission switch. So by default, each direction has permission to proceed until one direction requests. When this here requests, it will turn that one off. Therefore, this going off to the right no longer has permission. This will have permission, and then the request is also true, which will then send power here, which will then set the switch to allow the rail car to proceed forward. When the rail car comes back, it will trip that milepost, and it will then no longer request that direction and release the hold over here. When it releases, if there was another car sitting here and it had requested, this would be on, and then when the other car hit there, it would flip this to on, this would go on, setting it to go straight, and then the car would proceed because the cars remember the direction they were going, and they'll keep trying to go until they hit a stop, and then they'll wait there until they can go again, or they are told to go elsewhere. So that's how it all works, and it works beautifully. It really does. So whenever you see a work light on a rail post, that's because it is controlling a switch, a junction, and when it's lit, it means it is currently holding the switch. So that allows me to also wander by and see, oh, okay, this switch is set that way because there's a car holding it. So the freight network also goes underground and connects to the other bases on the planet. There are a total of 5 bases on Silva, and I'll show all of them. And then we can go ahead and head off to one of those right now. So the first one we're going to hit does not have really a name or even a beacon yet. All the other ones do have a beacon and a name. This one is I think the name might be the intermodal station. And the idea is a station that changes freight from rail to surface to rail. It's set. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just I'm trying to figure out how to get it. Also, before we get there, excuse me, signals. So I'm really proud of my signaling. Even though I play alone, I like the idea with trains, knowing that you have a clear block ahead of you. So that's what this signal you see looking at on the right is indicating it's clear to enter this block. There's no other train in that block at the moment. And I borrowed from transit, where a vertical line is usually go and a horizontal line is stop. If you're in a big city where you have bus lanes that are for dedicated for buses, and they have their own signals. They use these instead of green, yellow, and red so that they don't confuse the drivers of the passenger cars, the private vehicles, because a green over here might make somebody think they have the right of way when they really don't. So that's where I borrowed it from. So the horizontal is clear. I'm sorry, vertical is clear. Horizontal is stop, meaning occupied. And then if we flip around, this is a repeater or a distant signal. And that's because you have this this lunar white in the lower corner. When that lunar white is lit, it is indicating this is only telling you what the next signal is. It doesn't mean that this signal is telling you proceed. It's telling you the next signal is showing proceed. It's just a railroading thing. The the diagonal, when that's lit, it means prepare to stop because the next signal is stopping. Is currently set to stop. And when it does go to that diagonal, that turns off. The lunar white in the lower corner there turns off. That means that this signal is actually telling you do this here at this signal. And it's a bit of a fail-safe thing too, because in real life, if this lunar white had burnt out for some reason, then the conductor or engineer would know, hey, or would see it as obey this signal where it is. It is no longer telling me it's a distant signal or a repeater. So you'll see when I pass this rail post, it changed to, hey, this block is occupied. And there's another signal way at the other end of this block that's also showing that same aspect, a horizontal line. So if there were another train over there, it would see it, and presumably they would know not to enter this block, to wait. And at each end of each block, there is passing rails or signings, so that way a train can wait for the other one to pass through. Obviously, that won't change because that's for the segment or the block that's behind me right now. So we'll go ahead, we'll proceed. And the way that all works, I can show you the brains up here. You'll see this light up here. This is the brains, and it takes a lot of work to get this to actually set this up. So at each end of the block, the rail post, I send a trigger into this switch. So you can see that is coming from all the way over there. And similarly, over here, there's another one that's coming in all the way from way over there. And that just toggles the switch. All it does is turn it on or off. That's all it does. And when it turns it on, it energizes this platform. And there are two power sensors on here. One for power lost, which means the block is now clear, and one for power gained, which means the block is occupied. Why two? I may have been able to do this with the fewer power sensors, but this was just the easier way to do it. So when a block is occupied, I want to know immediately that it's occupied. So that triggers immediately. And what it will do is it just goes off to these two button repeaters, and these two button repeaters send back to each end of the block. You can see way down there on the down where after the bridge, you can see it's going on way over there. It tells that end, and that's what's toggling those signals. So it would toggle it to the horizontal line. The power lost, when it's clear, there's actually a delay, and that's just a trust thing. That means, hey, even though the train just left, wait 10 seconds before changing that aspect to clear. This allows the train to completely clear the block, hopefully, so that way it's not immediately showing clear, even though the train hasn't made it to the siding yet. perhaps. So that's the only reason. It's also just good practice. Don't trust it immediately. Give it some time. Real world, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe there's a similar thing going on there. Off to the right is the freight line that comes up from underground. And I just thought this was just something I put together. That freight line came in much later. And I thought, how cool would it look to show, hey, this was a spot where both the road and both these rails could pass through, because there's these hills and difficult terrain here, hills and difficult terrain here, but here there was a little pass, so all three of them came together to pass through here. So that's why it does that. Now you'll see there is a cable that connects, so they do share power and oxygen and spread it across the entire planet, but never do the two rail networks. I can't take coal onto the freight network unless I pick it up and move it over there. So as we enter here, you'll see I exited the block. Actually, not entirely, but you see there's a delay. And eventually, boom, it changed. So now I'm coming up to, oh, this is just a siding. I'm sorry. So we have another siding here. When we get up to here, this is the intermodal. And the only reason it exists here is because of that vehicle bay. So, spoiler, if you haven't got to this point yet, these are on most planets. There's 2 on Silva, and this is one of them. And the idea was I wanted to turn this into kind of a intermodal station. So I would have rovers, large rovers with storage, loading up and unloading. I might even see if I can get some auto arms and such here to pull the stuff off, whatever it might be. And then over here, a giant rail yard. Nothing here yet, but just a giant rail yard, perhaps also loading and unloading. But that was the idea. I haven't got anywhere with it yet. By the way, this giant floating blob over here, I was going to try to do something. I wanted to kind of recreate the solar system here. I really haven't got there yet. It's a little more difficult than I thought it would be to make a floating sphere in this game. If you have an idea, please let me know. I would love to know. This station, I didn't intend for it to be this high up on a hill, but I realized I made a mistake. I didn't realize the rails coming in were that high. You may have noticed how my rails are kind of meticulous. I'm very proud of how I laid them out. They're straight. They're mostly straight. They're mostly level, and they respect the terrain. Like right here, I went through this pass rather than just cut through it, and more or less stayed level through most of it. So I'm really proud of my rails, too, in this particular save. They're really nice aesthetic, right? Over here, I have a floating rail post. So please, I shouldn't stop there, because if I accidentally hit F, okay, I'm F'd. So I wanted to stop here. This is the North Pole, and I did take advantage of one little thing in the game, which is the upside down solar panels at the poles. So you'll see up here, there's 4 extra large solar panels. There's actually 12 of them up there, and they are pulling in power almost all day, except for when the sun is behind this mountain. Look at that, you can even see their shadows, which is kind of funny. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's the rail. Okay. So that's what's going on here. And it just provides power to this rail network, which then spreads it to the rest of the planet. So we're now going to be approaching Green Base. So Green Base, the original idea was a summer home for my Astroneer. It's on the almost exact opposite side of the planet from Silva Base Alpha, which is the starting one. This would be Bravo. It's the second one that I created. And originally, like I said, it was supposed to be the quote summer home. Just because. And why here? Well, whenever I find an abandoned landing pad, I put a base around it. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I had fun here. These, it just had fun. It's a little noisy, but I just thought it'd be fun to have that when they pop up, to let whomever else might be there know that there's a train coming in, and then they actually do go away when the train leaves that block. So that was a lot of fun. So this is Silva Base Bravo. And originally it was supposed to be, like I said, the summer home. It's got a little bit of production stuff going on here, a lot of storage, some excess work lights and fireworks and dynamite. We have more lapis, right? Chess pieces and the printers. Yeah, stuff just in case it's needed. I'm collecting, spoiler, again, I'm collecting curious objects or curious items, and there are a total of 67 in the game. I am missing 4. And it's really difficult because, of course, now the odds of finding the missing one are much lower because the odds are 63 and 67 that I'll find one I already have, and only 4 and 67 that I'll find one I don't have. But if you haven't run into these yet, these have their own lore. I haven't really figured out everything that they're all saying. Somebody has put together what they're all saying and has guessed at what's going on. I don't believe System Era themselves have confirmed those guesses. But I won't hover over them. I'll try to avoid hovering over them so that you don't see it, just in case. I don't want to spoil it for you. But it is lore that explains something that was going on. Those came about, I believe, with Awakening, the Awakening update. And then this one's sitting here because each one of these, when you scrap it, gives you half a scrap. And I just want to min-max a little bit. So I only scrap when I have 2 of them, because if you leave any remainder on here, when you save and exit, when you load again, the remainders disappear. I don't know. Okay, it's not the same for the terrain tool, but it does happen on here. So that's what this was supposed to be originally. And what I started, and I guess you could say finished, is the little cabin in the woods. And this is hooked up to the global power and oxygen network. You'll see if I come over here, you'll see a tether line popping up out of the ground. So there's a string of extenders that come all the way out to here. And if we go around the back, you'll see the extension cord. We're plugged into our neighbor's cable. Where is it? It is here somewhere. Oh, the tree is hiding it. Yeah, the tree is hiding it. Can you see it there? There we go. Right there. And it actually does extend all the way over to here, because, yeah, I know these don't provide much power, 17U, although that is a lot of power. I put those there mostly for aesthetics, so I don't really need the power. I have more than enough power on Silva. Over here, I created another little lake, or pond, I guess. The intent was it was going to continue on. I just haven't done that yet. But I noticed it was near this mountain, and it is going uphill ever so slightly. And I turned it into a little mountain spring fed. So there's a mountain, a spring in the mountain that is feeding into this little creek, because here in Michigan, we don't say Battle Creek, we say Battle Crick. And it feeds into that pond. Over here is where I do a lot of literal farming. So this is just an extra that I had. But here's where I farm Resopound. And you can see I have plenty of Resopound. I don't know if I'll ever need all of it. I also farm leeks. So there we go. Plenty of leeks. Some extra auto arms just hanging out there. And also some platforms just hanging out on the back. Thought it would be nice to store them there out of sight. Over here, I can farm organic. So I can get all the organic I ever need. I can do it. I can fill a large canister in about an extra, one of these canisters in about 15 minutes, I think it was. I can't remember. Fairly quick. For the squash, spooky squash and such, or sturdy squash, I'm sorry, events during Halloween, I do that here. These ones require being present. You can't really automate it because the sturdy squash don't grow unless you're near them. You have to be near them. So this is semi-automated. For the most part, it's automated, but not entirely. Over here, I have 24 of every single seed in the game, and that includes the various breeds of sturdy squash. So I've got the round, the knobbly, right there. Oh, dang it. Too many here. Darn it. Okay. The round, the knobbly. Let me get that. I'm stuck. There we go. Pick this up. Boink. And put it in place. Okay. Round, sturdy, round, knobbly, and plump. So 24 of each of those as well. And then every growable plant I have at this farm as well. So spew flowers, I think the spew flowers are really, really pretty. So I wish, well, not wish, but it would be nice if we could get these in their original colors. These are normally blue in the wild, and these are red in the wild. I like them in their wild colors better than this, but oh well. That's how it is. Over here, I have, there's the freight line that comes up from below. Right there, it comes up from below and then splits off. I'll show you where that goes. And then the passenger line is over here. I thought it'd be kind of neat to have them back to back. And it works for the most part. And then I realized I put myself into a literal dead end. If I unload from this station, I don't have anywhere to go. It's surrounded by the road. But I did figure out how to do that, and I'll show you how I did that as well. I might as well just show you right now. So what I can do is we'll just go ahead, we'll put these tethers here, and that will trigger it. So you'll see the auto arm will pick it up and send it over there. And then what does it do at that point? Well, it's okay. It'll get sucked up. Boom. And it does get sucked up. So what did I do? Well, you probably already know what I did. I just thought in a different dimension. So there's my tethers. Ta-da! So yeah, there's just an auto arm right there that plucks it from the surface, sends it to there, and then that auto arm plucks from there, and then we'll set up a similar chain like I do have over at Silva Base Alpha. So if I come up here, this is the main farm. So one, like I said earlier, one of every plant, at least one, rows of them. So we've got stretch petals, and we've got plume furs. And then way over here, I have some sidings, a rail yard, each of the sturdy squash. So 8 at least, I think, of each. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I don't have 8 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I don't have 8 of those. But whenever I got a curious sturdy squash, I left it. So that's why those are there. It's like I'm not uprooting those. I'm leaving them. So this was a pain in the butt to get. All 8 of those. That took a long, long time, but did get there. There are 4 color schemes, and of the 4, 3 of them have 3 different types. Curious only have the purple. They're all purple, and they just have the sturdy squash. More or less like the round sturdy squash. For these, there are 3 color schemes. Silva, which is the orange, Calidor, which is the kind of yellow, and then Atrox, which is the green. And each of those have plump, round, and knobbly. So I managed to get each of those here. That took a long time, but I just wanted to do it. I should get some oxygen, but that's okay. Coming over here, here's all my hazardous flora. So as you can see, all the, bounce vines, thistle whips, wheeze weeds, spine lilies, lash leaves, and dagger roots are over here. So they're marked off. Hopefully, whoever visits realizes, hey, this is not a good area to be. So that's Silva Base Beta. Silva Base Beta. And that's the farm. It is, of course, green. So, and as I said before, whenever I find one of these wrecked or abandoned pads, I build a base around it. And the other 2 bases that we're going to visit have a similar setup. So going to head on over now to Silva Base Charlie. So here is a power plant. I try to keep my RTGs away from the base because I just don't like listening to them all day long. So that's why those are there. Again, they're hooked up to the rail network, which distributes all the power I need everywhere on Silva. So continuing on, we're going to reach the pink base, and this is the main production base. When I say production, mostly it's for bulk smelting or refining and bulk composite materials. So it's where I'll do nanocarbon alloy or steel or any of those other types of operations. So you see I've got the 4 chemistry labs here, and those do whatever I need to when it comes to creating those composite materials. Storage, again, just if I need something. Printing, just in case I need to print. Some gases, of course, because when you're doing composite stuff, you tend to need gases. This base existed before the I forgot what update brought these in now. Glitch? Yeah, Glitch brought those in, I think. This base existed prior to that. This showed up right where it is. And it's awesome because it is almost like somebody said, hey, with this base here, this might be a good spot for a vehicle bay. And it just showed up. It did deform the terrain a little bit that I had to repair. But other than that, it's exactly... it's perfect. It really is. So I do what I expect a vehicle bay to do, which is it stores vehicles. This is the tunnel to the underground. There's the freight line that comes up from underground. A Y to use in the future if I need to. Another Y to use in the future if I need to. Um, and then a station. I haven't actually done anything with this station yet. I just haven't. Um, because I haven't found anything nearby. But this will be similar to the other station where either it'll drop off here and suck down below, or this will drop off over here and then suck down below. I don't know yet. I haven't really decided. Um, but I haven't used it yet. And I don't know if I will, because the next base will show, do I really need to do much more of that? So again, I found this abandoned landing pad and I built around it. And you'll see there comes from the underground, the power and oxygen. If we look over here, you can see there's the extenders that connect to the station, which then, of course, is what provides power and oxygen everywhere. So I think there's like 2 oxygenators powering this entire network. It's kind of, well, I guess the other shelters are providing as well. So, all right. So moving on, we're going to go to the orange station, which is Silva Base Delta. And this is where I store stuff. It is the storage. Orange, storage. I don't know. But this is where it's just a massive storage. So I store a whole bunch of stuff. You can see there's an abandoned landing pad. So storage. There's all 6 gases. There are 8 full canisters, 165 of each gas. So 165 times 8. That's more than I can do. 1080, I think that works out to. I think. So that would be 800 plus 480 is 1080, but then another 40 because there's 8, so 1120. 1120 gas per platform here. And that's more than enough that I need. Even got some extra soup sitting over here, spoiler. Plenty of hydrazine, and then plenty of raw and refined and composite resources. So 2,000 graphite, almost 400 graphene, 2,001 compound, 2,000, actually even more, 2,402 iron, right? Aluminum, way more than I'll ever need. There's 401, 2001, and another 400. So 2,802 aluminum. I just have way too much aluminum. Titanium alloy, copper, aluminum alloy, zinc, silicone, tungsten carbide, tungsten, ammonium, explosive powder, quartz, plastic, silicone. I think I already did the silicone. Rubber, resin, plenty of resources. And then others over here. I'm proud of this. I collected the entire palette of every single planet. So here's the entire palette for Silva, and then De Solo, Calidor, Visania, Novus, Glacio, and Atrox. So that's the entire palette of each planet and moon. So I was pretty proud of that. All the dynamite I could ever need. Seriously, I don't think I'll ever need that much dynamite. I'm not going to try to blow up Silva, or the moon for that matter. Storing a whole bunch of exo chips over here. Some leftover globes from the event. Some leftover seeds. As well as a whole bunch of packed items. some leftover astronium. And these sight pylons, I really like using them. You may have noticed I use them at each of the auto extractors, or most of the auto extractors, because I just like the way they look. I really do. Plus, you can't accidentally extend the the sight pylon, the rail line. It comes in from one direction only. So that's why I like the sight pylons when I got them. Plenty more exo caches if I need more um, exo chips. So that is the 5 bases, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 bases here on Silva. And this is what I've been up to, folks. So in the series that I want to start, it's going to be a new save. I'm going to customize a little bit. I'm going to... Oh, yeah, like there's a graphite extractor right there, and I only used a rail post for that one, unfortunately. But that's where I got all of my graphite, or at least most of it, all 2,000 plus graphite. And that's a save. So in the other one, the series that I plan to restart, what I hope to do is sort of follow the same idea, and also go through all the content, especially Awakening, and such. I have finished Glitch Walkers, another spoiler, but there was very little. I don't think anything here referenced Glitch Walkers. It's been a while. I don't think anything here did. So, but go through all the content. Maybe Glitch Walker there as well. I don't know. But I really do hope that you've enjoyed seeing this. Know what I like to do in my games, and also how much time I spend in them. I don't know how much time I spent on this save. Hundreds of hours at least. I'm certain of it. I'm certain it's got hundreds of hours into it. And I really love the game. And I hope you enjoy watching the video, enjoy the creative capabilities that it has, the game, and that it might inspire you to play it. Because really, there's so much undirected or self-directed things you can do in this game. What's your goal? Me, it was to have a really well-working rail network, an automated rail network. And I've done that. And then things like collect all the curious items, collect all the colors, yada, yada, yada. And even ambitious things like I want to rebuild Epcot. I don't think that will ever happen. But if it does happen, I'll show it to you. So anyhow, enough of this. So I will hopefully see you in an episode of a new save of Astroneer. I do want to get back to Chuck and Tom. I think that was their names. And Captain Clueless and Kadef. I really want to get multiplayer going again. But it's just schedules are such a pain in the butt. Maybe I can get it. We'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I really do appreciate you watching. So that's all I'm going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, I'm going to get away from here because I don't want to set the little snails off. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kids of all ages, take care and bye.